Yes, Jim Harbaugh's new contract extension, however you want to phrase it. I'll give my 2 cents because it's you can find it elsewhere. Is that it's incentive laden. The opening statement by Ward Manuel, the AD, was that we believe Jim is still the man to deliver championships. And if they're going to hold him to that standard, he's not going to do it, certainly with this football team that we saw this past season, despite what personnel changes are going to be made and coaching changes, new defensive coordinator coming in from the Ravens in particular. They're an 8-4 football team, in my estimation, for this season at best. And they're going to have to give him 2 or 3 years. But of course, it being incentive laden, what I'm interested in seeing is that if we get the Jim Harbaugh that showed up on campus the first time around, not in 1985, but first time around in regards to the coaching staff, we get the fiery Jim Harbaugh who's got some hunger and a fire in his belly to try to take down the Buckeyes, because we haven't seen him for a while. Any thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, Michigan couldn't find anybody better. Harbaugh couldn't find anywhere better to go. Let's just sit here and put together a deal with very little on the buyout, and we'll talk about this again in about 330 days.
It's a marriage by inconvenience at this point. It is interesting that national championship being the standard when they've won a split title in almost 75 years. So that's not a standard. That's you did this thing this one time. Georgia Tech doesn't view a national championship as their standard, I'm guessing. Neither does Colorado. Both of those teams won one split national title in the last 75 years, and maybe even more recently. I'm not up on what they have done, but what Jim Harbaugh does need is more energy, and he needs a staff with more energy, and they need to recruit the Midwest. Leave the Northeast alone. It's fine if there's 1 or 2 guys there. You don't use the Michigan brand in recruiting. It still works somehow. Go back out to California, do what you do there, and just work harder, work smarter.
Stay out of Rhode Island.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need a fence around Rhode Island. You don't need a fence around Massachusetts. The main pipeline can be shut off. It's okay. Let them go. Let Don Brown out in Arizona go and recruit Boston City Public and go from there. But just more energy is what Jim Harbaugh needs. And they need to find a quarterback that will get better as time goes on and not get worse.
We were sitting on a patio in New Orleans, and in front of about these 2 guys and about 4 or 5 others, and I just vented my spleen, and I just said, I just want to see the guy try. He doesn't even try. He has basically accepted their money for 6 years and hasn't even lifted a finger, is how it seems to me. And if this is as good as he can do and he's trying 100%, he's not the guy for the job. He's simply not the guy for the job. This is not the Jim Harbaugh who won at Stanford. This is with guys that, that couldn't play at USC, for God's sake. This is not the coach from the San Francisco 49ers who, got to the Super Bowl. No way, no how. No, I mean, come on. No way. This guy is basically taken their money on his name alone and done nothing for 6 years. That's how I put his tenure at the University of Michigan. No one has done so little for so much money, and or whatever that saying is, little with less or whatever, it applies to him. And, if he's going to be the coach there, okay, it's kind of like this contract's like, okay, you got us the first 6 years. Now you're going to go out and earn the money. And if you earn the money and put a winner on the field, okay, we'll reinstate your pay back to what it ought to be. But, come on, man. This is ridiculous.
He was like a robot in terms of just maniacal football robot. And now he became just a sad robot and a moping robot.
Moping, sad robot complaining about the calls.
Right. And
just as every other Michigan coach has done for time in memoriam. I mean, just
wealthy, sad.
but even when he started and was doing all of these satellite camps, he was still taking guys that were easy to take. and guys that never ended up being part of the program and taking commitments from guys who shouldn't be at Michigan. And so, yes, he did a lot early on.
He's always looking
He
at the
was-
jumbotron in the end zone, like, how do we get screwed on that call? You didn't.
Work
You
more, work smarter, and become more productive, and do a better job at developing your players. It's that easy.
And as Kevin pointed out, don't go to the Northeast if you're going to ignore Vermont and New Hampshire. Certainly, there's plenty of 4 and 5 stars up
It's
there.
easy when you're getting paid like $100,000 a day or whatever it was he was making. I mean, he was making $7 or $8 million. What does that transfer out to per day? Like 50 grand a day or something? I mean, Jesus criminy. 25 grand a day? I mean, come on, man.
Who hates recruiting more, Jim Harbaugh, Jim Foster, or Jim O'Brien?
All the above.
All gyms.